Welcome to Build Acala Ready the Treasury. In this event, the community will come together to prepare the Acala Treasury for long-term self-sustainability and growth. In this video, we'll quickly review how the Treasury is funded and operated and how the Treasury will set us up as a network for long-term self-sustainability. As a whole, the Acala Treasury is a reserve of digital tokens, both native, so ACA, and foreign to the Acala ecosystem, which could include DOT, governed by ACA holders and funded by Acala's protocol fees on an ongoing basis, and also funded by community contribution events like Build Acala, with the purpose of enabling long-term network self-sustainability and growth. These are the two goals of the Treasury as a whole that I just mentioned, self-sustainability and growth, and let's dive into each of those. So on the self-sustainability side, what we're referring to is what you may understand around Polkadot and how it operates. Acala must win and maintain a parachain slot on the network in order to operate and live on Polkadot. This slot may last for anywhere up to 2 years, depending on what we decide to do. And after the slot ends, we need to figure out how we're going to bid to renew that slot. So that bid could be done in a few ways. It could be done with an additional crowd loan like we'll be doing for the first parachain slot auction for Acala. It could also be self-funded by the Acala Treasury, which is what we're referring to as with the self-sustainability aspect. And a third option that I'll get into on the next slide is kind of a hybrid of these. We could actually start a community crowd loan and involve the community, but also self-fund a portion of that to the crowd loan from our own treasury. So here's what that looks like. The Acala first slot on Polkadot will be won and funded by a community-backed crowd loan. That slot duration will last for up to 2 years, and then we'll get to the point where Acala needs to decide, how do we renew this parachain slot on Polkadot? So in the orange, starting from the right, we could fund this by a community-backed crowd loan, similar to the way we did it in the first parachain slot. The second in the middle, in the red, is to self-fund the slot exclusively and only from the Acala Treasury with the DOT that the Treasury will own. And then the third option, which is probably the most likely for the first renewal that we'll be doing, is a hybrid of the two, which is contributing to our own crowd loan from the Acala Treasury with the DOT that the Treasury owns and holds. So when we get to the point of this purple box down here, Acala will earn and win that next parachain slot whenever that time comes. And then, of course, that will last for, again, up to 2 years, and we'll have to make the same decision again. So how do we renew this slot? The goal is to get to the Acala Treasury to the point where we can continue to self-fund our slots exclusively from the Treasury without needing to do continuous crowd loans over time, because Acala's supply is fixed. The ACA supply is fixed. So by having the Acala Treasury and giving us the ability to self-fund with the Treasury, we don't need to have inflation. We don't need to print new tokens in order to sustain the network and continue to reward the community for crowd loans. So the Acala Treasury, let's move on to the growth portion of the goals that the Acala Treasury has. The Acala Treasury can do many different things. So one that I just mentioned, we can self-fund future parachain slots on Polkadot. We also are going to have all these protocols like a decentralized exchange and a stable coin that are going to need liquidity in the pairs in the DEX, such as the ACA AUSD pair on the Acala DEX. We'll also need liquidity to issue AUSD loans so we can get AUSD out into the market. The liquidity for that can be provided by any of you in the community, but can also be provided by the Acala Treasury itself to help us bootstrap and get things off the ground. If you're aware of the Polkadot Treasury or the Kusama Treasury, Acala's Treasury can actually do similar things in terms of the kind of the ecosystem, software development, security aspects of funding ecosystem teams who apply to the Treasury for funding, and then when the Treasury proposal, it's approved by the council and the governance system, and then deployed into the hands of those people. So that could include network security operations, it could include education campaigns, it could include community efforts, marketing, even events. So really anything that comes through as what we're calling the Acala Treasury proposal or an ATP can be sent through the governance process and then approved through the Acala Treasury. So how is the Treasury actually funded? The first way the Acala Treasury is funded is something that's going to always be kind of operating, which is protocol and network fees will be taken from different aspects of the network. So stability fees with the AUSD stablecoin, LDOT minting fees when people come in and mint LDOT for their DOT when they're going to use the liquid staking. There will be fees that are taken from any of those transactions, and then those are sent on into the treasury to continue building the treasury over time with the native token of ACA, which of course is the transaction fee token and the token that's required for any of these transactions that you see here on the left to take place. The next way that the treasury is funded is what this event is for, the Build Acala Ready the Treasury event, where this is an example of a foreign asset that can be held by the Acala Treasury, which is DOT. So in the case of the Build Acala Ready the Treasury event, we will be allowing the community to provide things like DOT, but also other options such as Bitcoin and other tokens. Through the community round or the public open round, anything contributed in those two rounds will be converted to DOT if it isn't already DOT. And then that DOT will be then sent on into the Acala Treasury to begin building up that foreign asset pool of DOT to prepare us to do things like funding future parachain slots like I walked through before. Of course, there was a Build Acala 1 event where the community contributed Bitcoin. All that Bitcoin was converted to DOT immediately, and then that DOT was then sent on into the account for the Acala Treasury. So how does the Acala Treasury actually operate and how is it governed? So when this gets launched, the Acala Treasury will be operated and owned and governed by the ACA holders as a whole. Proposals can be submitted by anyone in the community that owns ACA and can be submitted on-chain, most likely discussed on some sort of forum, and then the proposal will be voted on by all ACA holders. The Acala Council will be there as well. The Acala Council will exclusively provide oversight over any Acala Treasury proposal or ATP, and can veto for network safety, but the vote will be done by the community as a whole. So what that looks like is any ACA token holder will be able to raise an ATP. Like I said, the Acala Council can provide oversight and veto if necessary, but then all the ACA holders will then vote, pass the vote, and then whether it's an ACA token, whether it's a foreign asset like DOT, that can be deployed depending on the background of whatever the ATP was and sent on to the person who benefits from that. So let's make this a little bit more real and walk through an example. So going back to the use case for using the treasury to fund the next Acala parachain slot auction, this is what would happen. So it would begin with getting onto the Acala discourse forum. Somebody could propose this. Anyone from the community that holds ACA could propose, hey, let's have a discussion around this proposal for deploying Acala Treasury's DOT for the next parachain slot auction. This would then begin a back and forth between community members, maybe poking holes in the proposal, asking questions, and then it would get to the point where it's ready to actually be proposed on-chain. So this is what an example could look like, where this is proposal number 4 to deploy Acala Treasury's DOT for the next parachain auction, and it's showing as proposed. This could also ensue another discussion below this proposal as it gets closer to actually enacting. And then through a vote amongst all the ACA token holders, we could then decide to execute this Acala Treasury proposal and then deploy X number of DOTs, whatever we decide is necessary for this parachain slot auction. Deploy that DOT to whoever whatever the crowd loan module is, and then that becomes the support from the Acala Treasury for the Acala parachain slot auction bid. So in this video, I hope you learned a lot about what the Acala Treasury is and the goals around the Treasury with enabling self-sustainability and ecosystem growth. We also talked through funding and governing and operating of the Treasury. We really appreciate your support on the Build Acala Ready the Treasury event. If you want to learn more, come join us in the Discord. We're happy to answer your questions at any time, and also check out our website at acala.network. Thank you.